Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Integrative You. We got Dr. Nick here, and we are going to be talking about something that we've talked a bit about in the past, but it's how essentially we use our pain and our childhood, younger year experiences to actually dictate our path of life. Because a lot of what we experience and the voids that are associated with that, they create our passion, they create our purpose. And I know Nick has a lot of insight when it comes to that topic. But before, we fully dive in, I think one of the things that we want to share with you, and this is a bit of my own personal story, of when you hit a place in your life where you feel more stuck than you ever have, it's usually an invitation to let go of the old pain, the old drivers, the old purpose in order for you to get to that next phase of you, that new 2.0 version of you. But the death of your old identity, the death of your old persona, the letting go of those drivers is one of the most fucking painful things you will go through in your life. And I think Nick and I both have our own stories associated with that, but we're here to shed light on this topic because I think a lot of high performance entrepreneurs, corporate powerhouses, family leaders, like people that don't settle. They're always looking to better themselves. They're always looking to bring the best to their kids, show up the best they can in their career, show up the best they can in their relationships. They're always striving for better or even better. They hit points and they go, what the fuck? And and then, we go out and we seek out mentors, we seek out gurus, we seek out coaches, which is all great, but we're here to shed light on kind of what can be expected so that you don't automatically feel like, oh, there's something wrong with me and I need to seek out help. Like kind of knowing like what's part of it when you're going through this up level, and also giving you some tools of how you can reflect and I don't want to say get through it on your own. It's always great to ask for help, but knowing that there's aspects that are yours to navigate and not to delegate.
Do you
You're
just
like,
want to
let's
jump
just
in?
dive. Okay.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm giving you a pause. I'm like, does he have something or should we just dive in?
I was like, is she gonna do more storytelling and fluff, or can we just fucking get deep into
um,
it? You said pain, which is interesting because
hey, dude, I just want to be clear. This is your saying that I extracted out of your mouth, but you don't even remember half the stuff that comes out of your mouth,
I don't
turning your
remember
pain
anything.
into purpose.
Wait, yeah, but the death of the old self, I mean, I guess I look at pain probably slightly different than most people. I don't think for me it was painful. It was just very difficult. So, I mean, even yesterday, I was having a conversation with a very aware, intelligent lady, and she goes, quote, like verbiage, this is who I am. This is who I've always been.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't know any different. And it's just interesting because, I go, you're very well educated. You can speak multiple languages, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. You're top of what you do in your field. And I was like, did you did you just know all of that right away?
Hmm.
No, of course you didn't. I go, you learned things. I go, so you grew. And when you grew and you learned things, guess what? You changed.
Hmm.
So this has been a part of you. It's not who you are. And that is the death of the old self, is we have this belief that this is who I am. It's not true. And
Hmm.
it keeps us stuck. So you're 100% correct when you're like, when you feel stuck, it's because of a shitty belief.
Yeah.
That's the foundation of it. So if you want to change, you can do all these different things. Great. But most of the time, doing new things doesn't change the belief. You have to change the belief if you want to change the causation or
Standing
the
up, I'm
effect
getting pumped.
of being stuck and to truly, quote unquote, kill that version of your old self that's holding you back.
100%. And, to put this into context for you guys, I want to take a step back really quick. So, essentially, what kind of leads into the story I'm about to tell you is when I was a young individual, there was a lot of different experiences and a lot of, aspects of the parenting that I experienced that created a lot of anger, a lot of frustration, a lot of feeling just kind of like I had to figure it out on my own, not feeling like I had a support system, not feeling that I had mentorship, and it led to these developments in my identity. And so, you can call that pain because there was definitely a perception when I was young that this is really painful. But what am I going to do? Fucking cry about it? And like, I'm going to use it. That was just my wiring is fuck everyone, fuck this life. I'm going to create something better for myself. And that is exactly what I did. I did shit that didn't make any sense. Like I put myself through college. Yes, I took out student loans and put myself in debt and all of those things, but technically I could have said I can't go to college. I didn't even have my parents around to sign off for me to go to college. I had to forge signatures. Oh gosh, I shouldn't say that. I should probably get in trouble. But essentially it was
Colleges
just,
don't care. They just want your money.
yeah, kind of like riding life on my own. And so I turned that into a purpose. And that purpose was I'm going to be the most successful at whatever I do. And then I chose to get into the healthcare arena. And I was like, I'm going to be the best and I'm going to create quote unquote success. And I'm saying quote unquote because I had a version of success in my head based off of my belief system and my programs. My what I classified as not success was my parents living paycheck to paycheck, always being in survival mode, always needing to make decisions out of desperation, anger, and fear because they didn't have the means to ever feel comfortable or stable. So my version of success was I need money. I need to create a level of financial stability so that I don't have to have the same outcomes as them. And so that led me to be this, what would you even call it, Nick? Like a lunatic tornado entrepreneur. Like we were
I was like,
reinventing
you're setting me up for failure right there.
we were
I'm not
re
answering that question.
like we were reinventing the business every single year. I was, I didn't care. I'd work 100 hours a week. Like it was all about creating that success, not being my parents. And it created this level of like taking risks, this level of perseverance, like no one's going to take me out. So it benefited me. It benefited us. We created something in a short amount of time that a lot of people haven't. But then, you hear this a lot. You go underneath the surface and it's like, I'm fucking tired. I'm burnt out. My health is not that great. My mental health is not that great. I don't even know how to have fun anymore. I'm losing relationships because I don't show up to anything because I'm so busy working. And you start to realize that you have no quality of life. And that, was part of it. And that was starting to create this stuck. This is starting to create a shit, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. And then once we had our family, that was the biggest wrench known to man thrown into everything, because then it was just like this isn't an option anymore unless I want to be a completely absent parent. And that was when we closed our brick and mortar, and we moved to South Carolina. And I think I cried for like a year. I guess I didn't let it get to a year. It felt like a year. And I
I was
finally
say
was
maybe a year
like,
and a half.
I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. And that was the start of the death of the old identity of entrepreneurial powerhouse, workaholic, healthcare empire creator, whatever the fuck I was telling myself at that point. And it was the death of that. And holy shit, everything about my wiring, my neurology, like my body, my energy was wrapped up in that. And I went through physical detoxification. It was a mental detox. It was an energetic detox. It was a spirit. It wasn't even a spiritual detox because I didn't even have any spiritual awareness. In and essentially the moral of the story is that it was fucking intense. It was painful and it took time.
Well, your identity, going back to death of the old self, that you'd used all those things. You'd used the anger, the fear, the not, not wanting to live in desperation. Those you use those things as tools, and that got you so far. And then you had the conscious awareness of, you know, things changed in my life. This isn't actually going to take me any farther.
Yep.
But the belief was still there.
Mhm.
And that's quote unquote the painful internal civil war that happens is that okay, I need to get rid of these things, but wait a second. Now I'm not successful,
But it's like
which is why I did
you
everything.
have to find new drivers. And I this is the conversation that I had with a client the other day was I'm like, you can use your anger, your frustration, your betrayal, your abandonment. You can use it. Could you hear Taya?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can use it as the drivers to achieve whatever outcomes you're looking to achieve. But once you decide that that identity only took you so far, you have to find different drivers. And that's where people are like, but I don't even know where to start or how to do this, or, like, where do I find this motivation, these drivers, this push to continue to keep going?
Well, yes, that I would say is uh half
Half
of the
truth.
pie.
100%. That's why I'm saying it because I know that you're going to shed light on both sides.
Well, I mean, it's a very, very important. And those drivers, we've talked about it a shit ton of times. It's your values. Like
Mhm.
those new drivers, because that's the inspo that's really going to be actually so strong for you to go through both pain and pleasure. You're not going to give a shit about pain and pleasure because you're actually just in gratitude for being you.
Mhm.
And gratitude is so strong. Most people don't really know what gratitude feels like today, which is kind of sad. But the other half is you put so much energy, focus, attention on those old drivers, and you linked them to so many different times to get you through tough times, to get you to experience high pleasure, which drives what? Neural pathways.
Yep.
And just because you have a new driver, well, guess what? All those new old neural pathways are still there. So
Mhm.
you have to rewire those neural pathways. Otherwise, it's like, oh, I got this new driver. Oh, but this is probably actually still stronger because you've used it longer over here.
Yep.
So you have to actually rewire the old drivers. And the easiest way to do that, I mean, it gets a little complex, but thinking about it is you, if you have something imbalanced, a belief, the you're either attached to quote unquote it being more good or more bad. So in this instance, you have these old drivers and you need to bring them down because they're too strong. So you got to link what negativity to it. You got to link how it's not serving you. You got to go back to all the moments that you thought it was actually doing you good and
Yeah.
cancel those moments out with doing bad. You can't work on the story. That's not how it works. Like therapist work on the story, and it just fucks you up even more because you're not actually working through the creation of what actually created the story, which is
Yeah.
the perception in the moment, space. I always like getting technical, and I'm not going to get too technical today, but it's like it's the perception in the moment, which is space. It gives us time, how we experience life, and we have the feelings through time. Life is just about changing the feeling. And the
Can
only
I
way
can
we
I
can
give the
do
Cliff
that,
Note version of that?
and the only way, yeah, the only way we can do that, but the awesome thing about it is, and science actually, okay, I'm going to geek out a little bit. Science is actually, um, I think it was, I forget what country. I feel like it was Austria. I should have saved it. I read it a couple weeks ago. Um, this scientist looked at memories differently. And he looked at memories and he compared them to a black hole. And he's like, memories are portals,
Hmm.
and they're portals through space-time.
Hmm.
And they allow you to go back and access a moment in time, space, and to change it. And when we change our history, that changes our present and our future. He didn't explain it just like this. I'm explaining it more in the human behavior aspect.
Yeah.
But when I was reading it, I was like, holy shit, man. Like, science is now actually showing us that we can change our destiny, we can change our future, we can change our outcome right now, instantaneously, by actually going through a portal to go back into the past and change it. And when we do that, our life instantaneously changes.
But also things that you've said is it starts with also the changing of your perception and essentially my Cliff Note version of what you said prior to talking about this study is that if you perceive that everything you used in your old identity from, the pain and your experiences, the drivers essentially, if everything was perceived as, but it only helped me, then you have a skewed perception of that. So you have to go back and you have to think about how did that actually derail me from other things? And how did that potentially put me on a path that you become the hamster on the wheel? Because that was a big realization that I think we both had is that when we sat back, the biggest light bulb that happened is like, holy crap, we made a lot of decisions out of desperation. A lot of decisions were rooted in that and not rooted in inspiration because we were just like in the trenches taking grenades. So it's like you say, okay, well, I need to do this. I have to do this. I should do this. I have to hire this person because the volume is so high. I have to, cut this person for this purpose. Like whatever it is, you realize that most of it is about patching problems opposed to moving the needle to the bigger vision, the vision beyond the vision. And and I think that what you said is how we have to reprogram the programs is that is a question you should be asking yourself on a regular basis. You should be asking yourself that question, especially when you have big decisions to make, is this a decision rooted in desperation? I need to, I should, I have to, or is it rooted in inspiration of I get to, I want to? And and what are you working towards is also what you have to really think about because that will allow you to surpass the the painful sides of transition and growth because you know where you're going. You know where you are and you know where you're going. If you don't know where you're going, then you're gonna be like, I don't want to go through this. I don't even know what I'm going through it for.
Yes. And it's I'm not gonna lie. It's harder than we're talking about. Not
Oh
to
yeah. I have a
discourage people.
whole email sequence with ugly crying pictures of me that will release one day that are from these
I'll use it for
periods.
blackmail.
They're from these periods of time where we went through these really, really difficult things. We came to Italy and people are like, oh my God, where's your family? Did your family come? And they know. And like they're wondering what my response is. And I'm just like, we knew our values as individuals, we knew our values as a family. We had a vision of what we wanted our kids to experience in growing up, and we also had a vision of what we wanted our lives to look like as a family dynamic and as individuals. And that vision, from down to like what we wore to how we walked to where we ate to where we visited, what nature looked like, what our house looked like, that matched Italy. And so leaving family behind, yes, it was difficult, but we knew that the vision aligned perfectly to what we wanted. And that was how we could access that was going to Italy.
And that was the when you can attach to that inspiration, you'll go through both the pleasure and the pain. Like that's the main driver. To make things easier, one has the ability to do a lot of other things. Hence, like you said, if you're going to have a new gain, well, energy is always balanced. There's an equal and opposite reaction, so there's a loss. So getting clear on these new gains that you're going after, you're going to have, and also getting clear on what losses that's attached to. What losses are going to equal that out. So you're actually setting yourself up to lose so that you can win. And this is a big thing people don't do. And then they lose something and then they start having grief. And grief takes you away from inspiration. So then you get derailed and then you're making decisions out of desperation and you fall back into that old shitty cycle. And, maybe you still have a little bit of that neural pathway of that old ego, old self, and it tries to come back up and says, hey, you used me in these hard times. It's hard again. You can use me again because it doesn't want to die. It wants to live. It'll try coming back to life. So there's all these things, and there's tons of different tools. Like, on a complete aspect is when you're quote unquote going to be reborn, making a new version of yourself. You need to try to kill all of yourself, and the easiest way to do that I've found without using drugs is meditation. And there's some really, really good meditations. Dispenza's probably one of the biggest well-known meditation gurus, and like his meditation body electric is you lose the sensation of your body, and you
Wild.
understand that it's just this electrical magnetic entity. And as you experience that, that helps to rewire you, and that helps to kill that belief system that this is who you are. So there's so many different things that one can do to help assist their transition. So there isn't quote unquote as much pain as you're talking about. So
Mhm.
everything can be efficient. Pain is for the most part an effect of lack of awareness.
Yep.
That's all pain is. When you have a balanced awareness, there really isn't pain.
Mhm. So I want to wrap this up for everyone, and I want to give you guys a couple of practical tools, all, in one short sentence. But just to kind of recap here is if you had a rough, upbringing, childhood, and you turned it around, you turned it into purpose, you turned it into drive, you turned it into success, fucking congratulations. That's amazing. You were a victor to your circumstances. But do not condemn yourself, be upset with yourself, think there's something wrong with you because you got stuck. Because if you are an individual that is continually growing, getting outside the box, it's inevitable that you're going to hit a place where you're like, well, this isn't kind of what I thought it was going to be, or this is not what the outcomes that I was looking for, or I created this quote unquote success, whatever that is to you. But now all this is shit, this side, quality of life or relationships. It happens because in your perseverance, there's a probability that there was a decent amount of decisions that were made out of desperation. The desperation of to not be your childhood, to not be your past, to not be your parents, to not be whatever. So now you have an opportunity, and that opportunity is to let go of the old drivers and the old identity to step into the new 2.0 higher version of yourself. That's all that it's calling you to do. When you feel so stuck and so overwhelmed and so unfulfilled, and you're like, what the fuck? That's your calling to start to step into this new version of yourself. But it does require the death of the old self. And yes, it can be painful, but there are very specific tools. One, you should 100% try to navigate this on your own with some of the tools I'm about to mention before you seek out mentorship. And mentorship should not be about someone telling you what to do, telling you what to believe, injecting their shit onto you. This is about hiring a strategic person that is going to ask you better questions to help you see what you can't fucking see. I want to be very clear on that because this isn't about your old story. This isn't about like, oh, your old identity is not that bad. That's not what this is about. This is about someone who is a trained professional that has also achieved what you're trying to achieve. If you're trying to break through a wall and let go of an old identity and step into this new, better version of yourself, the person mentoring you better have gone through that already in their life. Maybe they've gone through it multiple times. But if it's somebody who still feels stuck or is still kind of doing the same shit they've been doing since they were a teenager, please do not listen to them. But again, before you go and seek out help from someone else, you should be able to, one, get yourself in a weekly rhythm of asking yourself at least once a week, but honestly, you should be asking yourself every single day, is this a decision that I am making out of inspiration or desperation? If it's a decision out of desperation, scrap it. And if the making the decision out of inspiration feels really hard, then sit with it long enough until you feel like you have the way to navigate it, that it feels good. Not saying that it won't be hard, but it feels good because you know that it's driving you towards your bigger, better outcome. And so
And
really,
you'll
that
feel inspiration in the heart center, but you always want to use all of you. So left brain, right brain. So the feeling, right brain. Use it, maximize it, strengthen it. It's an awesome feedback mechanism. So get in touch with what you're feeling. The desperation, that's connected to the gut. Desperation is coming from an instinct or an impulse, which both come from the gut. Intuition is pulling you towards your inspiration, which you're going to feel in the heart. So get really clear on those differences because that is a great driver. Now we got the left brain. The left brain is you'll feel that inspiration when analytically you're serving your highest values. So get crystal clear on what your highest values are, the top three things that are most important to you. When you're in alignment with those, hence you don't give a shit about pain or pleasure, you're doing things to love yourself. You're in a state of gratitude. Carry on.
one of the questions that I ask is again going back, is this a decision out of inspiration or desperation? If you feel like that's a really hard question to answer, as Dr. Nick is saying, you can tap into more of your analytical mind. Go to the decision. If you're leaning towards a yes, what are the pros and cons? If you say no, what are the pros and cons? So you can also bridge the two worlds. You don't have to just tap into just solely your senses of how does it make you feel, but this can also be about the like analytical, logistical part of
But
things.
those pros and cons need to be linked to your highest values. A lot of times we'll do pros and cons and we're like, oh, there's there's a lot of pros, but they're the pros are aligned with injected values. They're not actually important to you. They're
Correct.
things that are important to your parents, or the things that are important to society, the things that are important to the religious system, etc. So that's why pros and cons are great, but it's like the pro, is it serving what's most important to me, my highest values? Cons, is it not serving? Is it taking away? Because
Yeah.
when it's serving you, you're building yourself up. When it's not linked to the highest values, you're breaking yourself down.
Mhm. And the values for those of you that are like, I don't know what that is, I don't know what that means, I don't know even know how to go about that. We have a very short little mini course that you can leverage that's on our site. We'll make sure to put the link in the show notes that is specifically helping you to figure out your top values. You know, that was another reason why we were able to move to Italy and make such a grandiose move in our lives, because when it came to our top values as individuals and as a family, expansive experience being one, nature, food, health, all of these things were we were going to be able to live more in our values inside of Italy. And there's also been a lot of business moves that we've made in order to align to our values. So this is something that is really, really important at the foundation, because you can then make better decisions out of inspiration. And you can also ask yourself the question in a different way: where am I going to say no to sharpen my yes? um, the more that you can say no to that is not going to truly serve you or align to you, then it will present more opportunities that are more the hell yes, the hell yeah, that are aligned for you to continue to get you where you want to be. And so for those of you that are like, oh, all of this is so hard and whatnot, it's probably hard because you live a life of distraction and you're constantly on. You're constantly, tuned in to responding people on your phone, you're on social media, you got a go, go, go lifestyle, you got a lot of demands at work. You got to carve out time to think. You got to carve out time to be able to give yourself some fucking space to get answers on things that are really important to the quality of your life. And if you
You know, the
don't
truth
carve out
that
that time, you're going to stay stuck.
the truth of it is, if something's too hard and difficult to do, it's not a priority for you.
Yeah.
You know, that's it. So you guess what? You either wait for it to become more painful so that it becomes a priority, or you can create the pain yourself. Just as you go through and you said, if you want to kill an aspect that you think's good, well, you have to link drawbacks to it. So you can start linking a shit ton of drawbacks into you not taking this action. You can create more pain. Pain is a fantastic teacher. So go through. If you don't have enough will to take action on something, you know, write out 100, 150, 200 drawbacks of not taking that action. And then on the opposite side, write out 100, 150, 200 benefits of taking that action. What's it going to give you
Yeah.
by doing it? What's it going to take away by not doing it? And then you don't have to wait. You don't have to waste time. You don't have to waste your life. And you can literally speed up the process because that's what you're doing. You're speeding up the process of changing the belief system. Hi, Taya.
I guys, I really hope you appreciate our commitment to this podcast, considering I don't have no idea if you could hear it, but our child is in the background yelling at us. We also have our dogs in the background. I'm like, okay, if there's one more distraction. But Taya
It's
said
a
the
it's a con-
podcast is over.
it's a controlled zoo.
It's a controlled circus, yes. All right, guys, we are going to put some links in the show notes for you. We're going to give you a great meditation that you can use to take these thought provoking questions into the meditation. And we are going to give you the top 2 questions that you can ask yourself on minimum a weekly basis, but honestly should be on a daily basis in order for you to get this level of clarity. And we will also give you a link to our values course if you want to explore what the heck is important to you and what are your top 3 values.
She is cute.
She is pretty damn cute. All right, see you on the next one.